We were talking about technology, we're talking about distance, and I even mentioned the words ground force reaction. These are all very important words because this is a golf shoe that is a piece of equipment, not so much a piece of apparel like most people have treated shoes. It's a piece of equipment. So Bob, why are you calling this a distance shoe? We know the independent lab said, yes, you're going to get more distance, and that's why you're promoting this as a distance shoe. But what technology and why are you allowed to do that?
Yeah, no, I'm so glad you asked me that question because this is where the passion of building the shoe came from.
Yeah.
Is that I really believe the golf shoe is the source to facilitate the key fundamentals of the golf swing.
Mm-hmm.
You are right. It is equipment, and it has been relegated, in my opinion, by the manufacturers as a fashion statement or accessory.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, it facilitates distance, and it's been overlooked. So there
I would have never thought that my golf shoe was a part of my ability to hit the ball farther.
Right.
I know that all golf shoes are designed to give you, some leverage, some, traction on the ground. But a lot of times, it's never been translated into distance.
Right. But it's a lot more than traction. A lot more than traction.
So tell me about it.
So when you look at a golf shoe and how it's designed, what it really does for the golfer, if you think for one moment that at a moment in time, your feet and that golf ball are connected, because you start with that swing, and ground force is a new term. Well, it's an old term that's getting a lot of light, and we're pioneering it.
What does it mean?
Okay, so as you swing the club, you generate a lot of vertical force, throwing it down into the ground, and it works out to be a % of your body weight.
And that's because you're hurling, you're lunging down at the ground toward the ball, and so there's more force going into the ground through your feet.
Exactly right.
Okay.
So you are throwing force into the ground. Now the ground is like a trampoline. You throw it in, and it gives it back to you.
It does.
And so when you think about
Did not know that.
these players like Justin Thomas or a Tiger or a Rory, when you watch them as they're striking the ball, they're up on their toes. What is happening? They can't control that. Why? Because if they're throwing this force and this energy into the ground, and that energy goes down into the ground, it comes back up through your feet, up through your body, into your arms, and into the club face. That's where distance comes from. So
this is why we see a lot of PGA Tour players almost out of their shoes as they come through the follow-through.
They're not trying to do that.
They're not trying. Oh, wow.
That's the ground giving. So Newton's law, right? Newton's law is every action has a reaction. So they're throwing action, vertical force into the ground. It comes out, up through your body, and into the club head. So let me ask you this. Is it the club that's really hitting it farther, or is you? It's you. It's that connection to the ground. And I watch people lather over the ball and over the club, and I tell them you're missing it. It's in your feet. And I'll tell you why. Is that when you look at a golf shoe is meant to give you that connection to the ground, which is traction. The second thing it needs to do is stability. So I'm going to give you an example. Here's a competitive shoe. And there's an old saying in footwear making, when it comes to golf, if you can twist it, toss it.
Really?
Get rid of it. It's doing you no favor.
It's too malleable. It's not.
You're losing energy. So if you're going to throw energy into the ground, you want to harness that energy.
Yeah.
You want it to come back up through your feet, all the way up through your body into the club head. The second thing is on the bottom of our shoe. If you notice this here, the width of the shoe, this is 4 millimeters wider than any other golf shoe we could find in PGA Tour stores.
No, wait a minute. Now, 4 millimeters is about what is it? Nearly an eighth of. Is it a little less than an eighth of an inch? But it's enough to where you could see it.
Absolutely.
And feel it.
Right. And so the wider you can build the base under the ball of your foot, the more surface connection you have with the ground. So you have a lot more energy transferred from the ground into the feet and up through the swing. So this is paramount right here. The width, so there are 3 things that are really critical in footwear making for golf footwear. Number 1, a good traction system, which we have designed. As you notice on these cleats, we've got red cleats here.
Yeah.
These are the pressure points, so that's where you need the graze connection.
Oh, I see.
Number 2 is the width of the shoe here.
Yeah.
Number 3, which is you can't twist this shoe.
You can't.
Now, it's not as
tried. I
rigid
tried.
as like a board, but again, it gives you the balance and stability. But the other thing we found was that you really needed to bring the upper material, this portion of the shoe, down onto your foot. So that way the foot is one with the shoe. Again, another reason why there's a loss of energy. And as you probably know, before this shoe and this lace system was designed, your feet would move around. Why? Because the laces would come untied.
I've talked to PGA Tour players over the years, and even some of the ladies on the LPGA Tour. They go through shoes like they go through golf balls.
Yep.
It's just like almost every round, they're either wearing out the bottom or there's some problem. Their feet begin to move and slip inside the shoe, I'm told.
Right.
That
That's
doesn't
true.
happen here.
No, because these laces, excuse me, these laces, you bring them down on the top of your foot, and when you do that comfortably, it locks it in place.
Yeah.
So you lock that in place, now the shoe is one with the foot.
Bob, one of the nicest things about the Square golf shoe that I like is when you unbox them after they're sent to you. And that is, you not only take your shoes out, there's a great thank you note inside the box. You get your shoes, but you also notice there's a little extra gift, a little something for the golfer. To match the square toes, they have the square-toed SQAIRZ golf shoe socks.
Right.
Tell me about that.
We had a lot of fun with this, but we set out to build the most comfortable golf sock we could build. And we looked at the running industry and how they need that cushioning in certain areas. So we looked at the materials that we use there, and we deployed them on the bottom of the sock. But the other thing was that if you've got a square toe shoe, why would you wear a rounded toe sock and angle your toes in? So we had a little fun and we designed a square toe sock, but it really is a good golf performance oriented sock.
Very good, very good. All right, Bob, thank you so much for being with me today on Match Play. The history of some of the technology, working with Arnold Palmer. I'm going to give you the last word in the form of you'll answer this question, and that is, if Arnie were with us today, and you used to be his executive vice president, what would he say about the SQAIRZ golf shoe, do you think?
I think he'd really appreciate it because those guys knew back then about ground force. They knew about connection to the ground. Somebody like himself and even Ben Hogan, who had 28 cleats on the bottom of his feet, knew
28 cleats.
Knew that distance comes from the feet, and this is an advancement in golf footwear that helps the golfer play better and gets more out of the golfer.